What's going on?
Nothing. I'm done talking tech stuff and being upsetty spaghetti. So
Okay, that's
you
fine.
need to do the intro, like 30 seconds ago.
Do I?
Now he used to be upsetty big ziti instead.
Yeah, I
I'm
don't
gonna
mind
what?
babysitting.
Upsetty
you're not nice.
fettuccine?
Did I have some upsetty manicotti? I'm a big fan of that.
I'm totally lost.
That's
so
okay.
am I. But that's been
Yeah.
happening for the last 40 years. So, there's not much changing it now.
No, okay. I'll run the titles.
Seems sensible.
Welcome to Two Titans and a Hunter, a Destiny 2 podcast. Dedicated in bringing you all the latest information, news, and opinions. This is the best show for new and veteran Guardians alike, where we share tips, tricks, and tools to help you succeed and enjoy playing even more. So with all that said, let me hand you over to your hosts, the Triumph Hunting Titan Nitedemon, the pink-panted pansy Peroty, and your Hunter Master Ranger, Mr. No One Respawns in Real Life!
So, welcome to the show this week. I am here. I am Nitedemon. Over there,
Nitedemon.
being grumpy is Respawn, and
Respawn.
the other person is Peroty.
Hi, Peroty.
I'm not sure about Peroty at the moment. Are you being grumpy or are you being happy today?
I'm half awake in here, so I'll whatever that turned out to be.
Cool.
Mostly just tired, but that's evergreen. So
Par for the course. Evergreen? What does that mean? Does that mean that's normal for you?
Yeah.
I'm probably going to be saying a lot of stupid things today. If you can't tell just by my
you're an editor's nightmare. Editor's nightmare.
Why?
I feel sorry for the
again?
I feel sorry for the editor of this show.
Why? What did I do?
For the editor of the show every week.
What did I do?
Yet he still shows up every single week.
What did I do?
With hope in his eye and joy in his heart.
Are y'all ignoring me?
Always got hope. What's the matter now? You said you're going to say silly things, which means ultimately silly things need to be cut out of the show because silly things don't go in the show. Only Destiny stuff goes in the show.
Well, I mean, silly things like I might not. I might be reacting to something that you guys didn't say, or I thought you said, or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, did you guys play the story this week? Have you completed your story, Peroty? Have you caught up?
I did. I've caught up with the story. I've done the two things I care about, and also collected my frog this week.
Cool.
Mr. Frog. Now I have a slight bone to pick though because it says I have Mr. Frog, Mr. Jacobson, Captain Jacobson. Sorry, Mr. Captain. I put him in this nice little enclosure, and it says I can pet him.
Yeah,
but I don't see how I'm meant to pet him through the enclosure. There's none of those little gloves like you see in in the labs for science. I can't put my hands in the gloves like pet the frog in the enclosure. It says I can pet him, but he's clearly in a glass enclosure. And how am I supposed to pet the frog?
Have you not got the gloves on?
I mean, just think of it as paracausal matrix, right? It's there, but is it really there?
Yes.
I mean, what exactly is the glass? Does the glass even exist?
We established this last week because you went and got your frog last week.
I do.
So we established it last week that the frog is there.
Oh yeah, he's there and I'm there, but can we interact? I don't believe we can.
You want to pet the frog like you can pet the dogs and the cats.
Yeah, listen. If I walk up and it says pet and there's a button for it, I expect to be able to pet the frog. That's all. If you don't want me to pet the frog, don't dangle the hope of frog petting in front of me. Just to take it away.
I mean, he's got a point. It's a very strong point he's presenting, and I'm about that point.
So, did you play like the story like back to back this past week or so, and get to the point where we find out who the conductor is?
I did.
One after the other. So, I mean, I played it I played last week's up to the kind of the story beat where we had to kind of come back to failsafe this week, and then played it this week, and I was like, oh, this is really, really quite cool. We're kind of jumping off from where the last Battlegrounds kind of ended, and then it was kind of it was a very short mission, and running through and finding Saint and having a little chat, and then going a little bit deeper and doing other things. But I found it quite short for kind of the end of this act. I don't know about you guys. but it was still quite fun, I suppose.
I'm starting it literally right now. The hotel Wi-Fi was not great for anything online related these past couple weeks, so I'm probably 2 weeks behind. No, wait. No, last week I did the frog, right? Was that 2 weeks ago?
Well, I mean, if you've done the frog, that's all there is, isn't there? Isn't anything past the frog. That was the whole point, is getting the frog and then unlocking your Aberrant action.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Oh my god, that gun is. Have you got it yet? Did you use it? It's so good. It's so fun.
I did get it. Did you get it? You got it. I got it, and I've crafted it.
I've already crafted it and maxed it out, bruh. It is so much fun.
I haven't crafted any more patterns, but again, I've got the incandescent heel clip roll on already that I've been using endlessly. So I'm excited to craft it, but I'm also not in a huge rush to craft it because I have the one I want for now.
Yeah, it just gave me that roll too in the beginning. It was like my third roll, but I went and crafted it so I could get the better perks. Yeah, the one that I built. The one that I built, because I need to reload so often, I built into like reload speed and velocity and not blast radius, because the incandescent will take care of the blast radius. And the reload speed's helping me out with the heal clip. And then I have a backup mag just because there's really nothing else to put on here. Like, what would you put on here? Like freehand grip or
Icarus?
Well, I don't really jump in the air though a whole lot.
No, that was a joke.
Oh.
Yeah, no.
Aerosol.
I mean, I suppose like radar tuner and quick access sling and sprint grip are kind of, or even radar booster are kind of more
quick access. I can work
PvP kind of ones. Yeah. So I mean, you don't need the full auto retrofit because you can do that in the game with the settings.
I think I'll put a counterbalance stock on mine because that's sort of kind of my go-to if the recoil isn't great. I slap the counterbalance stock on. It's at 75 now, which again, you don't need it to be super high, but yeah, I'm 2,170 kills into using this gun, so we're good friends.
He's investing heavily.
I was just like, well, I've got the energy weapon figured out. I'm switching around the other two, but the energy weapon, no, we're good friends. And I finally this week unlocked the Khvostov. I cannot tell you how I unlocked it. I could not explain to you the process for it. I even got to the point where I had it unlocked and thought I had still missed something, because apparently you see the treasure chest, but you cannot open the treasure chest from the side you expect to. No, you must walk around to the left side only and be just far enough backward to like just reach it. If you're too close or too far away, I really thought I had done yet still something wrong. I still don't ever feel like I found one of the things in the when you have to run the assist missions a trillion times, it feels like.
Yeah.
I still don't feel like I ever found one of the pieces I was looking for. But then it was like, no, you've got 6 of 6. You've got them all. You have all the. I was like, I have all the bits in my inventory. Why can't I get this weapon?
You weren't standing in the right spot, stupid.
I was holding it wrong. I'm glad I finished that quest, but God, no. No.
No, but I think you kind of finished it in the right way. It was like you play the game and you're slowly doing the things without kind of having to kind of force it. Whereas a lot of kind of the YouTubers and streamers were like having to force it to try and get it so that they could review it. Whereas you just kind of played the game and you, like you said, you didn't know how you got it, which is a good thing. It's like, I'm being rewarded for just doing the chores, but I wasn't necessarily setting out to do the chores. I was just playing the game.
There was absolutely setting out to do the chores because the path was so unclear and convoluted to do the chores. I'm sitting here going, I don't even know if I have all the chores done. I was hanging out with my buddy Esoteric at the end, watching his video front to back, going, okay, well, I've done that. Okay, I have this in my inventory, so I've done those pieces. What am I still missing? Okay, I have to run this cyst that I cannot unlock. You say I should be able to walk over to a bird and swap the bird to the other one, but I don't have that yet. So do I just run the one bird enough times till it gives me the other bird? Yes, you do.
Yeah.
You eventually go back to Micah. Micah's like, hey, here's the thing. Now you can finally go unlock the last bird that you need to do this. And then never find the piece that you're meant to find, because maybe you got it 16 hours ago, but it didn't really count. I really don't know. But yeah, I have the weapon. The weapon's beautiful. I love the Khvostov. That's why I wanted to do this. But oh my god, the lifetime I feel like I've spent running things to and fro to get that weapon. Was it worth it? I don't know.
It was. Oh, it's.
Do I kind of want to delete every other primary weapon to make sure I use it? Yeah, maybe. But man, it was just like I don't want to ever try to explain to anyone what to do to get that. I'm going to be like, here's a video.
Yeah.
You go do all of this in order because you'll never remember what you've already done and you can't track it. Just know that you've got this many bits and eventually you'll have those bits and then you'll have this nice shiny ball of primordial ooze and then you slap them all together and then stand on the left side of the chest and you're there. It's just that easy. I'm like, why? Why, Bungie? Who thought this up and why?
But no, it is since you especially are PvP. Oh my god, I am so broken today, guys. I don't even know if y'all want me here. I can't talk. Anyway, since you are a PvP player, even after the quote nerfs in PvP, it still handles really well. And I still, whenever I go back in, I'll get a double or a triple with just the ricochet rounds sometimes. And this is coming from a guy who's really bad at PvP. So I'm telling you, it's still good. It's not broken good like it was, but it is definitely still very, very good.
It is.
Yeah. And in PvE, if you're a connoisseur of the light dark subclass combination thing, then Khvostov is one of the best weapons for building your light and dark bars. I mean, it's phenomenal. Yeah, I'm trying to find other verbs, but I'm lost. Just know it's really good if you're running the what's it called, where you have the light and the dark and you push a button to.
Transcendence?
That thing. No, you're laughing. I'm not great today.
No, I can tell you're not great.
Yeah. Respawn is not in a great place at the moment. I'm trying, guys. I'm so sorry. But yeah, so it's really good for real though.
So Nitedemon, do you have your shiny sparkly butt cape? Have you been able to finish that quest with someone who wasn't me, who was better at figuring out how clocks work?
Well, no, I already had. Yeah, I did have the butt cape anyway.
Oh, that's right.
But yeah, I was just kind of helping you. But you were talking about like using the sidearm. Hang on, what's it called? The
Aberrant Action.
Aberrant Action. That's the one. I came across a really cool build which I want to put in the show notes for this week from Kodak. I believe his name was Kodak.
For what class?
For the Titans, you can't have it. It's just for the Titans.
We don't need it, brother. Anyway, sorry. Continue.
So yeah, using the Aberrant Action and the new chess piece. So we're using the hazardous propulsion. So you do have to kind of finish the campaign and get it. But using that and the Dragon's Breath as your kind of heavy. Also, you can switch the Aberrant Action out for a sniper, a solar sniper, or you can swap out your Dragon's Breath for solar heavy sniper. It's like infinite ignitions all over the place, explosions, and it looks amazing. I started to kind of build it because I was like sitting down this week and I was like, right, I want to do this and take it through something that's really hard, because I did that with the Warlock build that we kind of highlighted last week, and I can't remember who did that last week, and I'll find it in a second. But talking about this Kodak build, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna copy exactly, the mods, the different kind of things you put on your subclass. I'm gonna go for it, the aspects and fragments. And then I got disturbed. I was like, okay, I'm not playing Destiny today. Then we're doing something else, aren't we? I was like, damn it.
Disturbed, like family wise, like your wife.
No?
Gotcha.
The wife said no. The wife snuck up on me. I got up early enough to play. But it took me so long to kind of watch the video and get all the kind of things kind of set up that she got up, and I was like, I'll just turn it off. So I haven't played with it as yet, but in the video it looks fantastic with like just explosions all over the place, and it's on a solar subclass. It's not on the prismatic, which I was looking at maybe kind of switching a few things out to make it into the prismatic, but it makes more sense on the Sunbreaker. So I will stick that in the show notes because it looks really cool. I haven't tried it yet, but I will try it. But the one for the Warlock that we kind of put last week, I just have a quick look down at. Sorry about this. Should have come prepared. Should have come prepared for the show, shouldn't I? There's
Well, while you're looking for that, I'll also mention that Cool Guy put out the Why Aberrant Action is the key to supercharging your builds. Nothing compares. And
Aberrant Action. That's a sidearm, right? Oh, that's the rocket
the
one.
solar,
the
solar rocket
we've
sidearm.
been talking about all morning.
It is the one true sidearm. Yeah, and he's got a couple of build suggestions of just how you can build into it, spec into it, and just make it the cherry on top of whatever you're running, because it's just stupidly good. It's the heal clip and the incandescence. You lay waste to everything, and you get your health back on top of any other healing you might have at your disposal. It's just too good not to just sit and giggle while you're just clearing out hordes of ads.
Now, for you guys, I don't know if y'all realize this, but there's a trick you can do in the game. I don't know if this is intentional, right? So if you have Aberrant Action, and I'm hoping you have the call for your other weapon, and then you have a heavy, right? Put on heavy ammo finder, right?
Yeah.
And if you can, like at least on the call, right? Because you can't do it on the Aberrant Action, but at least on the call have lift and gold, right? And what's going to happen is you'll have tons of heavy and special on the ground, right? And I've tried to explain this to people. They're like, well, no, because, it doesn't proc heavy ammo finder. I'm like, it does. These sidearms do proc heavy ammo finder. I don't know what it is, but when you got two rocket sidearms, let me be specific, it will proc heavy ammo finder. And the heavy ammo finder, you shoot a little bit of heavy, and then they feed into each other.
Yeah,
right?
it kind of automatically you manage to get special ammo to drop, don't you? Because I was using that with a sword, and it was like I'm getting sword kills, and I'm getting like the sidearm kills with the call. No, with the call, because I was this was before the Aberrant Action came around. So I had the call, I had one of the swords, and my heavy was a sword as well. And I was just like, I think I only had heavy ammo finder on, and I was getting the heavy ammo finder to get the charge up my sword, getting loads of sword kills, and then just having so much green ammo just laying around on the battlefield in PvE, obviously. And it was like, oh my god, this is amazing. So it's one of those weird things, isn't it? But the good thing about using the new sidearm with the hazardous propulsion is that Danger Close is the exotic perk, which is weapon precision hits or final blows have a chance to load kinetic Exodus rockets. Activating your class ability fires loaded Exodus rockets. Damaging your targets with Exodus rockets temporarily increases damage you deal with other rockets, and the sidearms work as well. So because it's a rocket sidearm, if you're using rockets like Dragon's Breath, it also kind of helps. But as I was saying in the video, that he kind of goes over some of the perks you want in your Hunter's Journal, using the new kind of sniper stuff with the like incendiary rounds and the solar fulmination and sniper's meditation. So you can swap out kind of your weapons for boss DPS if need be, and it kind of all feeds into kind of the sidearms and the snipers and the rockets, and it's a fantastic thing. And the build that I did manage to put together last week, which was the True Vanguard, literally never die PvE build for endgame prismatic, was really good. I couldn't seem to get it to work against one of the champions. So I ended up having to swap out one of my kind of weapons that I was rocking to a sidearm. No, not a sidearm, hand cannon, to deal with one of the champions. And I took it into a lost sector. And I don't think I was getting the kind of the flow going, because if you get the flow going right by rewatching the video again, it was like you need to get your the devour kind of procs on it to keep yourself alive basically, and keep the rotation going with being unkillable and just like explosions and things. So I'm going to try it again. I did put it in if you watched the podcast last week on YouTube, it was kind of at the end of the kind of the podcast, because it was some of the footage I kind of used last week, or I recorded last week. But if you can get it to work, it works really well. So I want to kind of use that in a kind of like GM or something else in a team to see how well it kind of goes with the prismatic warlock. And I also want to kind of use this one with the Titan. So pretty cool.
Did I tell you guys about the hunter build that I got from either Mactix or Plunder the Booty? I want to lean into Plunder the Booty because I think this was one of his, right? But it's a 90% damage reduction build for the hunter. And on top of that, I'm getting like all the verbs from all the subclasses. Not all, but I'm getting Radiant, I'm getting Devour, I'm getting Arc Shield. I mean, I'm getting a lot of stuff's happening to give me extra damage and a lot of damage resistance. And it gives us an excuse to use our new chess piece for the hunters. The where is it at? I've lost it. Oh no. Oh no.
Oh no.
Gifted Conviction. That one. That chess piece, the Gifted Conviction. It gives us an excuse to use that, and it's
what does that do? The Gifted Conviction.
So the Gifted Conviction, it activating Ascension or Tempest Strike throws bouncing explosives at nearby targets that jolt and damage them. Right.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: jolting nearby targets grants you damage resistance. Right. So if you pair that with, like, I have the call for just, a sidearm because it's great, and then I have Thunderlord because Thunderlord jolts targets too. Right?
Yeah.
And then I was lucky enough to get the Volt Shot bow from the raid. It's not the perfect roll, but it is a Volt Shot bow, right? Yeah. And with all the jolting going on, it's not just, it says activating Ascension or Temper Strike throws bouncing explosive nearby enemies that jolt and damage them, right? But the key item is the last sentence: jolting nearby targets grants you damage resistance. That's from any jolting source. Not just from Ascension or Temper Strike. Any jolting source, right? Yeah. So if you don't have the non-denouement, however you pronounce that, an Indebted Kindness with Volt Shot also works phenomenally well. If you got one of those, you can do the same build with the Indebted Kindness. And if you're lucky enough to have Volt Shot and Lead from Gold, which I do not, I have one with Lead from Gold and I have one with Volt Shot. They're not on the same gun.
That's always the way, isn't it? You get one on one without the other, especially if it's not a craftable kind of weapon.
Exactly. But if you're lucky enough to get that, and then you run the call with Lead from Gold Hatchling, you got all kinds of AoE. You never run out of ammo because you either got the sidearm ammo, or you swap over to the heavy, which is the Thunderlord, and you use that, get a couple of kills, and oops, there's more sidearm ammo, right? So there's all kinds of synergy in that build, and you're constantly jolting. The only catch that you have to get used to is it's when you jolt things that are nearby, right? So if you have a bow and you're jolting things from far away, that will not proc the damage resistance. Okay, it has to be nearby. So you go and you start hip firing the Indebted Kindness or the denouement, however you pronounce that, and you're jolting guys that are near you. So much damage resistance. You get the damage resistance from Arc. You get the radiance from Solar. You get what's the strand shield stuff that you get?
Woven Mail.
Woven Mail. You get Woven Mail on top of that. And you get it's so much damage resistance. Like, I took this into a GM, and I struggled a little bit at first trying to get the whole feel of you got to kill things that are close to you. But once you figured out the rotation with the bow or your Indebted Kindness and things like that, you are really hard to kill. And it's fun. And then for the grenades, you rock the Pulse Grenade, right? Because, I mean, it's a whole build. Your fragments and everything like that, like your Pulse Grenade, also jolt targets. I mean, it's a whole thing, right? So there's a build. It's either Plunder the Booty or Mactix. I'll try to track it down for you guys, and I'll post it if I didn't already tell you guys about it. But I've tested it. I've run with it. I'm running with it now, and it's actually really good. It's not as fun as the punchy, everything explodes and dies build, but if you like jolting, if you just love having a lot of damage resistance, it's great,
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's really good.
I know we kind of jumped around and kind of looked at builds and things. I just want to kind of get back to... No, I mean, it's fine. The story for this week revealed who kind of the Conductor is. And apparently, if you'd been following or looking at some of kind of the notes or the listening to some of the dialogue in like leading up to who we kind of it's revealed is, we kind of a lot of people already knew. Kind of the lore nerds kind of knew exactly who it was going to be before we kind of got there. And I know kind of, I mean, I'd heard the name Maya Sundaresh a few times in kind of the Destiny lore and following the story, but I wasn't 100% sure until I kind of rewatched kind of a couple of videos this week. And the one I want to kind of point out is My Name is Bive did like the Echoes Act 2, the Conductor's identity is revealed and their plan and Saint's new truth, which was, it kind of explains where, you know, Maya Sundaresh came from and the kind of I'd completely forgotten about Lakshmi 2 and the Lakshmi 2 connection to Maya Sundaresh, which is why it was a bit confusing for kind of Saint in the story. It's like, oh, you know, Lakshmi, it's like, no, that's not me. I'm just, that was the copy. But yeah, it's like, oh yeah, I remember this kind of little bit of dialogue that we had at the end of, and I can't remember the name of the season, but it was at the end of the season we found, you know, at the end, you know, Lakshmi was dead. And I thought it was quite cool that they've actually got the actress to come back and voice, you know, the Conductor. I don't know how long it's going to kind of go on for. Is it going to kind of, we get to the end of Act 3 and we've kind of defeated the Conductor, or is it going to be one of those things that maybe we've defeated them, but they've kind of gone off again and it'll be a story beat that we kind of pick up, or something that's kind of just out there that it could be picked up again and they could come back to be an even bigger bad than they are now. So I didn't know what you guys thought about this.
I haven't done it yet. Like I said, I'm playing right now to get caught up.
I'm spoiling it for you as we talk.
It doesn't matter. I'm going to find out anyway.
Yeah, and that was all the way back in the season of the Splicer.
That was it, yeah.
To, you know, hit her sort of evil phase.
Yeah, Dr. Evil phase. Yeah, I'm nice all these times that I'm part of the factions, but you know, you upset me and you don't include faction wars anymore, and that's it. I'm going to go rogue.
So weird. Saint sees his own dead body right now. That's the part that I'm at. That's crazy. Can you imagine?
Well, no, it's not his dead body.
Can a robot have a mental breakdown?
It's a dead body of a saint.
Okay.
If a robot has a mental breakdown, is that just a blue screen of death? Is it a kernel panic? I don't know what's happening here.
That's a blue screen of death. But no, I've been trying to follow. Like this is Saint-14, the dead body, right? And this is a clone of Saint-14 that happens to like have his memories or whatever via the Conductor.
No, different timeline, Saint.
Oh, it is? Okay, I must have missed that part.
Do we actually know 100% which Saint is the real Saint? Do we know that one that is in the story this week, kind of the dead body, is our Saint, or were they swapped at some point? I don't think we'll ever really kind of know definitively.
It's the same Saint, though. Unless he's a clone, it's the same Saint, just different timeline.
I mean, they're all exos. So what
no, you've been told about this before. You can't mix up the exos and the names and how many times they've been kind of reincarnated.
Well, no, but I'm saying like they're all exos. So what is a real exo and a not real exo?
The exo's consciousness is stored. So if you're downloading the same consciousness, it is the same person. It doesn't matter what exo body they're in. It's the same consciousness.
I mean, Saint's standing over an old computer going, well, is this the computer I used to be, or is this a different computer entirely?
Yes, the Windows 7 version of me. I've now upgraded to Windows 10. Do I go for Windows 11?
Is it really an upgrade, though?
Well, yeah, I think it is.
I mean, I liked 7 the way it was, and then 10 came along, and I was like, meh. And then 11 came along, and especially for an administrator, it's even more meh.
I'm watching this, play out, and I'm going, you're an exo over a body of another exo. Are you the same one multiverse thing? It hits a little less hard when robots are involved. When it's, like a flesh and blood human. Like if this were Osiris laying here, I'm like, okay, well, that's your body of Osiris. So you could be a multiverse Osiris. But I'm like, you're a robot. They can put your consciousness in different bodies.
No, it's not. So a robot is an artificial intelligence. An exo is a human intelligence that's been downloaded into a robot body.
Yeah.
Right.
So
it's still quote flesh and human because it was a human. It was actual intelligence. Saying it's a robot assumes it was AI, or not even AI, but just programmed intelligence, right? So, like, no, this is not the same thing. It's not a robot. He just happens to have a metal body, but it is a human on the inside.
Yeah, and they could put that human in a different body.
Sure. Yeah. Sure.
Yeah. That's that's for all I'm saying. I'm watching this going, like, again, like the multiverse hits a little less hard when it's an exo body versus a human body or a fallen body, or non-crafted one in a factory where we could just say, well, we can make 25,000 of these and we'll just slap you into the next one whenever we're ready.
I mean, I would. I mean, hell, re-upload my consciousness. That way, if something happens in my body, you can download me again. Because right now, exos can't access their consciousness mainframe, right? It's currently inaccessible. I'm pretty sure, somebody correct me on the lore, but I'm pretty sure that the existing exos can't re-download the consciousness because the place where Bray had it is no longer accessible to the exos. So if you're an exo, what you got is what you got for now, I think. Right? Unless Anna does something to change that.
No,
but either way, like you're saying, I mean, it's even if it was a human, right? It's still you. You're just from a different timeline where you weren't killed after killing thousands of Vex and having literal piles of Vex corpses around your grave. So I mean, it's still you. Just think of it as a resurrection or a second chance to not get killed by the Vex.
Take even more of them down.
Yeah, I mean, he is actively, so yeah. But I mean, I guess I get it. Like for me, seeing my own body would freak me out. Not because am I really me? Am I somebody else? I'm just like, whoa, that's me, but I'm dead. But I'm not. It's a weird sensation, to be sure. But I wouldn't be having an existential crisis over it. Like, bro, you're alive. Be happy that you're alive. Be happy that you're with Osiris and stop crying, dude. You're here. You're with us. You were dead. Now you're not. So
Osiris loves you. He loves you for being you. So
yeah.
And apparently the fact that the Vex respected him too, because there's a line in there where Saint says, Osiris, why do they keep my body? Osiris responds, respect. They honor you with a perfect preservation. There's no replacing you, Saint. Even the Vex recognize that. And then Failsafe chimes in with, the Vex are very meticulous, but also weirdly sentimental. Just the fact that like the Vex have like some level of respect for the Saint unit, as Failsafe puts it. By preserving his body, even though he was just slaughtering them by the thousands.
Yeah, this is even before they've kind of been Borgified with the Conductor. They kind of
nice reference.
But yeah, it's like
but I watched the same bite video, but then I'll stick a link in the show notes as well.
Dug a bit further, didn't you?
No, just the Destiny lore vault, which one I'm happy still exists, and two they have. If you just want sort of like if you miss a cutscene or if you're playing with someone who skips cutscenes, they just have the full uncut. Sorry,
I said don't play with them again.
Well, there you go. But if you do, or if you're playing it early in the morning with the sound down very low because you want to disturb people, they have just like the full, a rising chorus, shell echoes cutscene just in its entirety. So if you're just like, I missed a piece or just want to watch it over again, they've got the full thing there at the Destiny lore vault. So I watched that one. Then I went and watched by sort of explain to me the greater context. Going, let me just see it as it is, and now give me more context around it.
But
yeah, mine's up to no good.
Yeah.
What's happening with Micah though?
Micah is just there to hand me alone in the dark quests until the end of time itself.
Yeah, there was a bug with Micah, wasn't there? I think you addressed last week or the week before. You went over the bugs and things that there's a bug. But I think somebody did say that one of the quests still isn't active. And I don't know whether that's kind of something to come later on down the line or not. But who knows?
It's just Alone in the Dark quest from now to the end of time.
Did you know, though, from doing like the story stuff and the Act 2 stuff, that they have, it's kind of introduced these secret bosses on Nessus? Do you know about this yet?
Yes, I did. That's weeks old, though.
No, that's this week.
Oh, there's new secret bosses?
Yeah.
No, I didn't know.
The secretest of bosses? Yeah, I did. I've spent limited time on Nessus, basically doing what it wanted me to do, and then I left.
So you kind of doing the NES 00 kind of quests, right?
Because I want to unlock my Nintendo Entertainment System for the helm.
You do. What happens now is that when you go back through and do the battlegrounds, and you have to kind of do each one separately, you get these assimilated beacons to drop, and once you get them to drop, you can then go to Nessus. And the one that I put the video in the show notes from Time Sausage Gaming, the one that he's got is a signal beacon was dropped from one of the high value targets in the Echoes battlegrounds. It appears to emit a powerful signal which matches readings reported from the original source somewhere in the Watcher's Grave on Nessus. You go there, and then you have to defeat these kind of 3 bosses, and there is a timer to it as well. So, but I don't know if it's kind of he says the same. He doesn't know whether it's going to be one this week, one again next week, and one the week after, kind of keeping us ticking over until we get to Act 3, and it will reveal something else. Because in Act 3 we get like the biggest exotic mission ever, apparently. That's to come, which sounds quite nice. That there's going to be an exotic mission, and it's going to be the biggest one they've ever done.
But is it going to be worth it, though?
Well, apparently so. It's going to be worth it. So I can only tell you what Bungie tell me.
If I've done the Khvostov, then this has got to be worth it.
Boss is irking me.
You have to run and hide from that boss. You can't just stand and deliver against that boss.
Well, there's a red thing around me. Where do you go? I'm stuck in the battle dome at his ass.
There's platforms that'll appear around you.
Are there?
Yeah. Failsafe says basically, hey, I'm going to send you some platforms that spawn and despawn that rotate around. You can cower behind those because you can't just stand and deliver against that final boss. He and his harpy friends will nuke you every time.
Yeah, I didn't like him. He didn't like me the first time. But yeah, using the Aberrant action with the hill clip really helps.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or using anything with hill clip. I think I use my summoner with hill clip. Get a kill on a harpy, reload, run.
So once I kill all the things, well, now that I know I can hide, I was killing all the things and healing, and then oops, there's nothing left to kill because I'm too efficient when it comes to the killing. So
then he just guns you down and says, "No,
yes,
you're dead
I do."
now. And then the harpies gun you down. Yeah, I ended up running the heel clip and then throwing the Precious Scars helmet back on, going, I just need a little bit of extra healing when I use the machine gun that I'm going to bring out.
Yeah,
and just turn things into purple mist. Because I was like, I'm doing plenty of damage. I'm staying alive for the most part. But yeah, you get those lulls in the action of you just have a boss and he's just laying into you with his machine gun. You're like, I had a nice life. It's gone now.
Yeah.
But that was a fun fight. I enjoyed that one. I enjoy going into this quest going, I don't know if I can do this. I mean, I know I can do it solo. It's just, is this going to be an easy quest solo, or is this going to be, a massive boss fight that I'm going to regret doing solo?
Yes.
But it wasn't too bad after the first handful of times where I said, okay, I can't just stand and go, I can out DPS you. And he's like, no, I can out DPS you.
Think about it. Before you told me about the spawns, I managed with that resistance build I was telling you guys earlier. I managed to get him past his last little piece of health bar thing into that, but then he killed me after that. So I was pumping out tons of damage with a damage resist build, which is kind of nutty.
Yeah, and there's just not enough ads in the room. The harpies don't spawn in quickly enough. So if you clear all of those, there's just not anything left to continue to proc anything you need, to proc by killing things. Yeah. You're like, hey, it's just me and you, and you're big and angry. And it was apparently the same Vex mine from before that we fought that, Bife reminded me of, because I sure don't remember which Vex I kill in the past and which ones I don't.
Listen, Saint. Talking to you, Mr. Vex Killer Extraordinaire.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. I didn't know who you were talking to then.
Oh, no, because he said, I don't remember all the Vex I've killed. All right, Saint.
Listen, the Vex show up, and none of them are wearing jaunty hats or ties or any interesting coats to tell them apart. All Vex look the same to me.
Facts, bro.
Just piles of dead robots.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I finally did, after our attempts, Nitedemon, where we ran out of collective time to go run Dual Destiny, finally completed it with blue screen later in the week.
Yeah.
He was on the Andy helping Pan get his Dual Destiny quest unlocked.
Yeah.
And then we jumped in and he had done, I think, at least once by that point. So between our two vague experiences going, we're pretty sure we can figure this out. He knows all the names of the symbols, and I'm going, it's this thing. He's like, that? I'm like, sure, probably. I don't know any of the names of these symbols, but I can describe.
Yeah, he's a secret raider. He raids a lot without me.
Yeah,
so, yeah, he knows.
I was like, it's this one, and it seems to be like it showed us the same symbols a lot, so that made it a lot easier. Going, yeah, no, it's the same one that we just shot again. Yeah. But I finally got through it. After resorting to the let me grab a notepad to write down. You're going to tell me 3 numbers. I'm going to have 3 numbers. Let me write those 6 numbers on the notepad and see which 3 aren't there. Yeah. Because neither of us, we can read the clock, we can shoot the clock, but we can't read the clock and shoot the clock and remember the numbers while being, attempted murdered by all the things trying to come for us. So got through that fairly easily, and like Respawn said, ended up with 400 hours left at the end of it. Mm-hmm. The run we got through, I think we ended up with 5 or 6 minutes at the end, and some of that was just coordinating our shooting. And Andy told me, and we may have said this already, but I'll reiterate that once you get to the sort of that final room with the basically the clock with the 3 arms that you have to match with your teammate. Is those repeat? So basically once you watch it through a couple times, which I'm sure we had said, but I had forgotten, and he reminded Blue and I. He's like, those repeat. So once you watch it enough times to get the match, just write those 3 down, and then just maybe when it comes back around again, skip the first one, then start sort of on that second rotation, that second one.
Yeah,
shoot 3 in a row, and then it makes it really easy, and there's a lot less panic of which one am I shooting? Where do we start? How do we do this? It's like, stop, breathe. You've murdered everything. And make sure that you're standing at the right clock, because when I was with Respawn, I was standing at the wrong clock, and I was going, there's nothing lit up on my one. He's going, there must be. There's something there. I'm like, I've got nothing. And then he was like, are you standing at the right one? I'm like, there's 2? Yeah. Right, yeah. I never saw the wrong one. I was like, this one has... Yeah. I was like, this one has arms on it. He's like, mine has arms too. I was like, great. So he was reading me what he was seeing, and I was looking at what I was seeing, and then writing down, okay, it's this one, it's this one, it's this one. It took us a couple tries that first time, to get, to figure out the pattern, and then, ended up, and had the conversation of, do we shoot on 3, or is it 1, 2, 3 shoot, or 1, 2, 3, and then shoot after 3? So, making sure you have those conversations beforehand. Going, when are we shooting this thing? But then we got through it. And then I ended up with the drop I got with the Spirit of Severance and the Spirit of Contact. So I just make everything Volty now. So my power melee finishes her final blows, unleash a damaging explosion. And then damaging targets with a powered melee causes all nearby targets to suffer lightning strikes and become jolted. So I was delighted just to have something with some synergy to it. I was so afraid I would end up with just the dumbest, worst roll you could imagine, like the one I got out of the chest later in the week, which is Spirit of the Assassin and Spirit of the Thorn. And I was like, okay, so I can go invisible, which I can't really build into in any meaningful way, or use my barricade to unleash a blast of solar energy, which I don't use the barricade because I'm thrustering. Cool.
Your thruster doesn't pop the thing?
It does not.
Oh.
But yeah, they specifically made the barricade things do the barricade things. But the Severance and the Contact I've been having great fun with, just between punching things and having them all jolt everything near them, and speccing into... I'd have to go look at see which fragment is it that makes my grenades also jolt targets. I'm just jolting everything, and it's been great fun for running all the seasonal stuff for failsafe.
Yeah,
just going. I can take loads of ads and enemies and just make them all hurt each other until they're dead.
Mm-hmm.
It's been great fun.
I didn't really know how jolt worked until I got the bow. Right, I thought just the one round would jolt the targets and that's it. Y'all probably told me, but it didn't stick in my brain that every time you hit that same enemy that you jolted, he has another little jolt of damage. Either I didn't realize that or I didn't know, but once I got the bow and I was like, wait a minute, I'm seeing extra numbers. What the hell? And then I realized about the whole jolt mechanic, how you can keep jolting the same guy you've already jolted over and over again. I was like, yeah, this changes things. So Yeah.
And the one that I got, which was quite nice, is I've got Spirit of Innermost Light and Spirit of the Horn. So when I use my barricade, it sends out that fire flame, which is quite nice. But then it also empowers my grenade and my melee, and also charges them up faster as well. And then my barricade charges up faster. And I'm like, this is amazing. I can just keep repeatedly doing the same things. So I kind of made my own little build up with like building into those kind of specs. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, the facet of dominance. Your void grenade weakens targets, and your arc grenade jolts targets. So I've been running around just jolting everything, which just makes
and weakening.
Weakening
and jolting, right?
Well, either or, depending which grenade you're using.
Oh, so it's not one grenade does both.
No, it's one or the other. It's depending which grenade you spec into, and for the most part, I'm throwing the arc grenades because I can throw it into a horde of enemies and just let it do its thing and get that multiple pulse damage. So I just throw that there and go. Now I'm going to damage you with the pulses and jolt anything that isn't right on top of that grenade.
And throw a healing grenade at your feet to jolt and weaken everything around you. I'm kidding. It doesn't do that. Nobody do that.
That's what the clip's for.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been good fun. I'm glad to finally have the stupid thing unlocked. I don't know if I want to do the Dual Destiny mission over again. Like it really wasn't bad. Just very frustrating again.
Yeah.
Just I'm going to moan about the time missions again. Like the timer, if you're doing well, wasn't bad. But if either the game decides to screw you and says, remember how you were progressing and now we're just going to not let you progress, it's really frustrating to have to start all the way over again.
When you do it a few times, it becomes super easy. Like you start to mess around, and there's whole parts of the map you can just straight up skip. I don't know if you know that, but like, I'm having a hard time remembering how to describe the spot. But like, if you look off in the distance and you have to like jump to the left, you can jump to the right, and there's hands you can jump on, skip that whole area. Yeah. So there's ways to make it even faster.
Yeah. The whole first room, you can just run by everything. Like you don't have to fight anything in that first room where they dump you in. You can just skip all of that and run right to the end and go, all right, let me go sit on my plates and we're good. Oh yeah, and that was the other thing that I think when Deeb and I were running, we were both prismatic, so it was sort of like a 50-50 on whether we were going to be light aligned or dark aligned. Yeah. I think Blue ran it as Strand and I was running prismatic, so it sort of kept us consistently light and dark each time, which just helped a little bit going, let me learn this piece of it, let me learn where my platforms are. It just made it, one less variable if you're trying to get through it the first time of going, oh, wait, now I have to go find the other platform? I don't remember where that is because I was just looking for these platforms. So it was nice to have the one less little bit of randomness. And I swear, when Deeb and I ran it one of the times, it swapped our alignment part of the way through. Which didn't happen after that. So again, I don't know if that's a bug or what, but like Blue and I did not experience that. So I don't know if it was because we were both prismatic.
No, that is 100% a bug, dude. That is definitely a bug.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I was like,
sometimes when you die, it'll take away your alignment entirely, and you have to kill yourself again to get an alignment back. Like it is buggy in some places for sure. But yeah, no, that is not intended behavior. But yeah, I mean, and not only that, but like instead of you going, all right, we're gonna shoot the clock in 3, 2, no, it's like one person calls out what they see, right? So it's like, all right, 12, 1, and 2, and 4. 12, 1, 2, yeah, 12, 1, 2, 4. Right? The other person just says what you have in common. 2, shoot 2. And you both shoot 2, right? There's no countdown. There's none of that.
You're assuming that you are quick enough to process that in your little brain and then say that in the 5 seconds you have before they change.
Process what? The numbers?
Yeah. If you've never seen it before and going, we have to call these out, match them, and then communicate which one we're shooting in that 5-second period before the clock changes.
Bro, I know you can read an analog clock. You're of that generation.
I can read the clock, but reading the clock, communicating back and forth to my teammates didn't happen in the 5 seconds. I'm old. I'm not here to read things quickly. I'm here to murder things.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah. You tell him, Peroty.
I can't fault him for it. I mean, the man's speaking facts, but I mean, But no, I mean, smack talking aside, right? It does get easier the more you do it. You get used to the mechanics. You get used to reading the clock. Just like everything else, it gets easier with time. But yeah, so there you go. It's actually not that bad at all. But you don't need to do it once you've got it. You can just farm the chests in the Pale Heart. Keep going.
Yeah, you say that, but it does take a while to do that.
I get, if I just farm the chests, I get one an hour, one every 45 minutes, depending if you're not using the macro. Because the macro kind of works, but not really.
Right. I don't know what you're talking about with a macro. We talked about this last week. Nobody uses a macro unless they do.
They definitely do. But okay,
No.
I got you. But other than that,
Yes.
I don't know. Because I don't know what happened this week. So anything y'all want to get into the... Is there a patch notes? No, that's new path, not new patch. Y'all want to get into the...
No, that's the TWIB, the TWAB, the patch notes for this week. That's all you're getting this week is the path.
Well, hold on. This week in Destiny didn't happen?
No.
It didn't happen. Oh,
no.
Snap.
No.
And I thought Peroty was joking when he messaged me that because I hadn't seen that kind of communication. I was like...
They fired the guy that does the twin.
Okay.
Yeah, no, they said, yeah. I mean, they did address it, but basically said, today is a difficult day for the Destiny team. Out of respect for our friends and colleagues, and to give our team time to take care of each other, we are canceling this week's TWID. Our focus today is showing support and respect for everyone who's worked on Destiny during this incredibly challenging time. We want to express our heartfelt thanks and gratitude for everyone who's been part of Destiny. While our team is taking time to help support each other, we want you, our community, to know that we expect no disruption to all of our previously communicated content plans. Our content roadmap remains unchanged. This includes our future plans for the next year and beyond. Whilst we look forward to sharing more of our future plans at a later time, this week is about supporting each other. We'll talk again soon. D2 team.
So now, that being said, don't worry, there's no disruptions. As they say, by the way, there's a disruption because we're not putting out a tweaker.
Yep.
Something.
Yeah, but most people don't read these and would never know it didn't happen anyway. So, I mean, there's no disruption. You're in the game. You're playing it.
Yeah.
It's up. It's running.
True.
Yeah, true. We just don't know if there's going to be anything new. And you know what? Okay, so, all right. Jokes aside, right? This has happened so many times in the past where like, oh, Bungie's dead, and it's not died yet.
We are in the they're cooking, we're cooked cycle where we're in the we're cooked cycle. Give them a couple weeks. We're back on the we're cooking cycle. This is D2. The entire thing for the life of its entire game has been everything's great, everything's horrible, everything's great, everything's horrible. So we're just dipping down in the horrible. We're going to go back to great.
Mm-hmm. I mean, yes, there's a big difference because they've lost a lot of people, but there was also a big difference whenever they left Activision. Not Activision.
Yeah.
I mean,
Activision. Yeah. There was a big difference when they left Microsoft. There was a big difference when they left Activision. There's a big difference when they joined Sony. The company has been through many, many changes, So there are no more big expansions. Well, I mean, it doesn't matter if there's big expansions as long as there's smaller expansions to keep the game going. Like you said earlier, there's a really big, or I don't know, big, long, intensive, convoluted, exotic quest coming up, and I hope it's an exotic that's worth getting. I hope it's a new one specifically because I can't really think of any old ones that I want to go through a whole bunch of crap to deal with. Honestly,
yeah.
I mean, basically, Bungie did what a lot of companies did through 2020 to present. Everything was good, money was flowing all over the place, grew really big, overextended, and now the industry is course correcting. Now the world is course correcting. Looking at just the entire industry and how tech is a overall right now. There's a lot of course correction and over hiring that is, hey, things are great. There's VC money flowing. We've got tons of cash to throw around. Oh, now we don't have all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And and talking about how while the final shape was amazing, it actually didn't sell as well as Lightfall because a lot of even though it's great, a lot of people look at what's the last thing you did. Well, if the last thing you did wasn't great, I may have checked out before the next thing you did. So I mean, it is what it is.
It is what it is, and plus we've got confirmation that there is another game in the works. We know it's not Marathon. We know it's not Destiny 3, but they've said that there is a team that's making a third game. We also don't know if it's going to be Sony exclusive. At least I don't think I saw anything about it being Sony exclusive.
There was that team has been going to be spun out to a different studio.
Yeah, to make the third game, right? Oh, not the third game, another game. Sorry.
Yeah, different thing. Yeah, about 40 people working on a sci-fi action fantasy game.
It might be a better version of Destiny. I mean, look,
with
guys,
40 people, it's not. It's going to be it's a totally different thing. It's not Destiny related at all. It's some other project. When
Bungie first started, wasn't it a small studio that just Microsoft overlooked? I'm not coping. Look, I've got other games that I can play right now that's not Destiny, right? I'm not coping about Destiny. All I'm saying is I'm normally the guy that would be freaking out right now, right? And I'm not happy that this happened. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's good, it's bad, it's different. I'm not happy. I don't like the fact that they laid off a lot of people for a multitude of reasons. Not just the fact that it's affecting Bungie, the game, right? But at the same time, they are making a new game, and this game has been out for a decade. You know, yes, they got new stuff. Yes, they got cool stuff. Yes, I like playing this game. But what happens next? Is the next one going to be better? Is it going to be Bungie 1? All the best parts we love about Bungie 1, plus all the best parts about Bungie 2. Maybe the next game will have infinite vault space. I mean, I don't know. You know? I'm not saying it's going to be better or worse. I'm just saying we don't know what's in the works. And if it's Sony exclusive, then we might have to change a podcast. I'm not buying a PlayStation.
Well, we're not covering that game because that's not Destiny. That should be something different by some other.
Well, no, he said if Destiny goes out, we will be covering other games. He said that a long time ago, and by he I mean Demon.
No, Destiny will.
You said it. No. I said worst case scenario, Destiny goes away. What do we do with the podcast? And you said we'll go away. Game.
We go away.
Fair enough. Then come back, rebranded, spun out into a new podcast.
Instead of 2 times in 100, it's two tanks and a mage, or I don't know, 2 tanks and a rogue.
I've read what has been put out by actual journalists. Like Jason Schreier had a big article about it. Paul Tassi sort of did a roundup of what Jason Schreier and others have reported on. I've been staying far away from the Destiny Bulletin with no I in it Twitter feed, who just puts out anything and everything that people then grab as gospel and go, "Oh my god, did you see this? Did you see that?" It's like, I'm gonna wait for someone, again, and even the stuff that Tassi and Schreier are reporting, it's not like on the record confirmed because, like they say, like I think Schreier talked with 10 or more people until recently at Bungie, off the record because they are not, Bungie PR who's allowed to speak with journalists. He's like, he got the straight scoop, but it's never going to be official because it can't be. No one can talk about this on the record.
No, so, anything that's kind of official is the only thing that we got from Bungie this week, which was on the 31st of July from Pete Parsons, who's the CEO?
CEO, yeah. Which is the whole path forward, which is basically, Bungie laid off 220 people are getting laid off. That's in addition to the 100 they laid off at the end of last year in December.
Yeah.
And basically which spans everything they're working on. 155 additional people are moving within Bungie to, SIE, Sony Interactive Entertainment.
Yeah, that's right.
Basically they're moving from Bungie proper to elsewhere in Sony. So they're going to have a job somewhere, which I'm assuming is things like, support roles, HR, admin things, a job where you can go do that same job just for a different company, for Sony directly. Yeah. And then they're spinning off a new sub studio under Sony to work on the unannounced sci-fi fantasy action game, which Jason Schreier says is around 40 people. Sony hasn't, or, Bungie hasn't said how many people, but it's, the number of people there. And there are about 850 people left working at Bungie, working on a combination, between Marathon and Destiny. We don't know how that's split up. But, of the 1,300 they have, 850 are left between those two projects. And basically everything else has been canceled. Everything else has been moved out. There is no Destiny 3. They were never working on a Destiny 3. They were working on, something else in the Destiny universe. That it's probably not a dating sim either. but we're working on sort of something else in that universe, like to tell different stories.
Yeah,
they were, basically, they were working on, some. Trying to remember where I made a bunch of notes from reading these. Marathon's still supposed to be out in 2025, but Jeff Grubb, who's one of the other, reporters who covers Sony, and has sort of said, people seem a little skeptical about that 2025 release date because it hasn't really coalesced into a game like they hoped it would in the time frame they would. He sort of believes, Grubb sort of believes that Sony will slowly assume direct control of Bungie, and soon it'll be under the purview of Herman Hulst, the Sony Interactive Entertainment's, I guess, CEO, sort of saying this is sort of the first step toward that.
Even with that, we can link his podcast in the show notes, as well as the Jason Schreier article and Paul Tassi as well. But literally everything, even these kind of the reporters that are kind of reporting on it, speaking to other people, or they say they've got kind of people on the inside that know these things. Even the Jeff Grubb's, the Jeff Grubb's kind of podcast, it's been said that he's got some of his facts wrong as well. So when he even said on his podcast that Sony's taking over Bungie, that hasn't even been kind of corroborated. That is just misinformation as well. Even the stuff that some of the journalists are putting out. I mean, I wouldn't say Jason Schreier is somebody that you can say, oh no, he's putting misinformation out there. I don't think he would have published an article saying the things that he did, which was very minimal. It wasn't anything more than kind of what we knew as kind of facts that kind of came out from Bungie. And I've listened to various different podcasts this week. I've listened to a lot of YouTubers, and there's a lot of kind of, with the YouTubers, it's more like, oh God, what am I going to do if this game collapses? And this is kind of all my eggs are in this basket. I mean, I saw Fallout's video. He's kind of in that kind of area at the moment. I mean, he still plays other games, but most of his eggs are in the basket of Destiny. The same with us, really. I mean, Respawn was joking about it, go to do something else. But at the end of the day, we don't make money off of doing our podcasts and doing the Destiny content. So it's not kind of as substantial as some of the other YouTubers that are kind of out there panicking and kind of speculating and putting out their videos to kind of get more views if something's going wrong, generating them a bit more income. We can only kind of tell you the facts. The facts are that the new path for Bungie, Pete Parsons put out a statement saying, this is happening, and this is happening. And that's it. Everything else is kind of substantial and rumors and people talking behind the scenes. There's been a lot of kind of people from Bungie that were let go that have kind of voiced their anger on Twitter, but they can only say so much because there's a lot of NDAs. There's a lot of kind of, if you speak out of term or you say something wrong, then it could go against your contract and then you lose the benefits that you could possibly get for leaving, because they are paying these people. It's not like these people have been fired. These people have been let go because they can't afford to keep them on in the company. And it's the same with
still being fired. What are you talking? What do you mean?
No, it's different. Being fired is like for a cause. Like you did a poor job, you're out the door.
Yeah,
they're being laid off with what I've seen from a number of places. 90 days of sort of severance pay and benefits. Like this is not you did a poor job, you're done. We as a company did a poor job, and we can't afford to keep you. Like this
we've had to let you go because we've mismanaged this basically. Yeah. And at the end of the day, with even there's been talk of Mark Noseworthy and Luke Smith, who were the kind of the game overall kind of the Destiny universe directors, or I think they were vice presidents as well for Bungie. Even over the last couple of days, I think even with the podcasts that were happening on Thursday when there was meant to be a trial, but isn't a trial, there was speculation and rumors that those two have left Bungie. And there was speculation at start to say that they were fired in this kind of clearing out of some of the roles, because it says some of our executives and senior leader roles have kind of gone as well. And then I think Jason Schreier and Paul Tassi were saying, well, no, we've heard that possibly they left before that because the things that they were working on kind of came to an end and they couldn't afford to kind of keep them going. but nobody knows. Luke Smith and Mark Noseworthy haven't said anything. There's nothing on Twitter. There's nothing on their LinkedIn pages. For all we know, they still work at Bungie or are still part of the Sony Bungie kind of.
But even if they do, right? A lot of people's complaints, and the chat's saying a lot right now. Like, okay, so Bukovic says the vision of 3 enduring franchises proceeds to struggle with one and keeping the company in the black. Any other CEO would be looking at stepping down after the second staff slash in 12 months. And see, again...
Yeah, but with that, can I answer that?
Yeah, go ahead.
When you have like CEOs and CFOs, anybody that's kind of in charge, and they're doing a kind of... They've partnered with Bungie, they partnered with Sony, and Sony bought them as a part of the acquisition. Sometimes there is a transition period. We don't know how long those transition periods are. That CEO, CFO, whoever is in charge has to stay on as part of their contract. Mm-hmm. Now, whether that means that he goes like soon because Sony go, right, you're going to take the brunt of this, or he goes at the end of the contract for whatever he kind of signed on for in partnering up with Sony, we don't know, and I don't think we'll ever know. But it'll be down to Bungie and Sony at that point. So it can't be just like, oh, he's just going to leave and take the responsibility for it, because he ultimately isn't in control. Sony, as part of the partnership, is the one that's in control. So it's not as straightforward as I'm going to throw myself on my sword kind of thing.
Right, but here's the thing, right? So, and this is the point that some people make, and it actually ties into what we were talking about in the beginning of the show, right? So, if you couldn't afford to keep X number of staff members around, right? And people are complaining that, oh, well, he's got all this money to go out and buy these cars and this and that and the other. Yeah, he's a CEO. He's got money. But here's the thing. A good CEO, right? Like, and I've seen this happen in some companies. It's rare, but it does happen. Like Nintendo actually did it some time ago. Like when they were
they're about the only ones.
But there's other smaller companies that have nothing to do with gaming.
With Nintendo doing that, with Nintendo's CEO taking a pay cut to save jobs, that is to do with the laws that they have with the jobs in like Japan.
But hold on. But you guys in America that did it on purpose. We don't have laws, but there's some CEOs that realize that my company that I built, again, I'm not talking main franchise companies. Don't get me wrong. This is like, mid to small level companies, right? Like indie type stuff, right? But CEOs will be like, yo, I need to keep the staff on. Do I really need to have this big a salary? I'm living comfortable, right? Do I really need to have this big a salary, or can I sacrifice some of my salary to make sure that I can keep the staff on, to make sure that my company keeps going, right? That is a good CEO. Now, if you're a CEO and you're buying all these cars, like what people are saying, instead of finding a way to keep your people on staff. Now, I don't know the whole story. I'm not saying he had any way to stop this from happening. Do not come at me, all right? All I'm saying is if him sacrificing his salary could have saved some jobs, then I think that a good CEO would have done that. Was he in a position to do that? Was he even capable of doing that? I don't know. I don't know anything about his contract or how the company works or anything like that. But if he had the opportunity to do that and he still chose not to, that's when I think it's a bad CEO.
Yeah, I mean, nobody's disputing that. The fact that, a good CFO or CEO would have kind of taken the fall or kind of taken the pay cut to kind of help save the people that are in the kind of trenches of the company. But he hasn't, and he's used his money that is his to purchase things that he likes. And I think it was Liana Rupert who was originally was the one that kind of posted about the cars and him boasting about the cars, and to kind of even to her that, she was saying at one point to some colleagues that she couldn't afford like groceries that day, and she was having a conversation with a couple of colleagues, and he walked into that conversation, and it was really awkward at that point. And he offered, oh, do you want to come and see my cars? And I think that was her initial tweet that she kind of put out back at the end of the month. But then she had to then go back onto Twitter this week and clarify. She said, I want to clarify something because it's very important with some of the stuff going on behind the scenes that everything public is being accurately perceived. A colleague shared about being approached by Pete to see his cars. The way people interpreted that, while still regardless, was that it was that he rolled up.
Did you drop an F-bomb?
I'm reading it verbatim.
Oh. Okay.
Was it that he rolled up onto this person randomly and offered them solo to come back to his place? This is not to say that this never happened, but it didn't happen like that with myself, and it didn't happen like that with the colleague in question. The above tweet was meant to share, but also correct, but it seems we need to be a little more direct about it. So here's that correction after talking to them yesterday. A few of us were down in the lobby downstairs where I was talking about the grocery thing. He walked up on his way out and walked into that conversation. Obviously, an awkward conversation to have your boss walk right up to, even though pay was a big topic publicly, and I had previous meetings with HR to try and get the pay band raised. To cut the tension, I said, we've got to race sometimes. I've just got my racing license because I used to drag race and now I can legally on NASCAR tracks. He invited me to see his cars and then immediately extended that invite to my colleague and those around us. Still messed up, especially 2 days before he knew he was kicking us out. But people are spinning the original tweet in very gross ways, and that's not what happened. And why that's dangerous, it doesn't take much for bad actors to spin a narrative to make it look like people are speaking out are lying, and that hurts the credibility of everyone speaking out. Yeah. They did not intentionally word it in any way, but that doesn't stop speculation from making its own story. We all see it, all the time, my own included, constantly getting twisted. Why do you think I over-communicate so much? That being said, more stories will be coming out in the coming months, and some will take years regarding some members of leadership. Working with victims has always been my focus since January, but until that time, please consider this a contraction and more context so that the situation that have been talked about publicly are being talked about accurately. And I hope this is the last tweet I make on the total failure of Pete and his Goonies. This week at least.
Yeah, I mean, and we should really just preface, all of this with we're doing our best to see what people have reported and what former and current Bungie staff are saying, but take all of this with a grain of salt because at the end of the day, nobody outside of the people who are actually impacted with this and were in the meetings or know what's going on. We're all doing our best to go, here's the tea leaves we're trying to read and put together for you. This could be all factual. This could be all BS. This could be a mix between the two, and likely it's the third one. There's always a shred of truth to everything. I mean, at the end of the day, though, the facts are Bungie overextended themselves and ran out of money. You don't miss your projections by 45% by making good projections. Well, that was the first round of layoffs. We missed our projection by 45%, and when Sony Entertainment Chairman Hiroki Totoki publicly criticized Bungie, saying he wanted to see more accountability. It's like you don't. Again, it's this looks like, and again, a lot of other companies have done the same thing. This looks like saying, oh, everybody was home for 2020 and 2021, and they're spending all sorts of money on entertainment and and looking at that, going, okay, well, let's assume these next couple of years are going to go like that. Well, obviously they did not. People were able to go outside again. People were able to leave their houses. Companies have boomed and busted in that time when, people were at home looking for things to do and now can go outside again. And now they're, getting back to the things they used to do. Like there's looking at your future and trying to say, well, here's what we're going to make our projections on this, rosy best case scenario that was never going to come to pass.
Yeah. And
now, unfortunately, we're seeing the result of that. They spun up all these incubation projects internally that, took the staff and spread them even thinner while we're sitting here going, who's working on Destiny? And it turns out fewer people than we thought because they had multiple incubation projects going on, a mobile game and this payback thing, which is apparently what Noseworthy and Luke Smith were involved with. They were sort of, and again, take this all with a grain of salt, but the reporting I saw from Jason Schreier, basically sort of they were involved or heading that payback project. And when that got spun down like 2 months ago, it was sort of we don't have another job for you because that was your job. And now that project's ending, you're sort of ending with that project.
But that's the thing that I was trying to point out. If they left a couple of months ago, their LinkedIn still says that they work for Bungie. Their Twitters still were working for Bungie up until like a couple of weeks ago or whatever it was. I think Luke Smith deleted everything on Twitter when the episodes kind of started, but apparently he does things like that all the time. So until we actually hear from specific people to say, yes, I have left, or from Pete Parsons or whoever's kind of in control at Bungie to say, this is what's actually happening. Because ultimately Bungie don't know what's happening. Like we said, we've got no TWID this week. I had no pop-up this week to say this is what's happening next week in Destiny. So it's a kind of bit of a guess with some of the things that are in a rotation, but you don't know what's officially coming up because they can and have changed things on me on like the last second, as Peroty kind of pointed out. Was it last week that they changed? I think it was. They said it was Showdown, but it was meant to be Elimination. Modes. Yeah, it was like, oh my god, you even said it was this. How long? Yeah. How do you get that wrong? But
we told you it was this, and that's just the sort of my point in seeing and reading some of that was a lot of people have said, oh, Destiny 3 was canceled. Well, it wasn't canceled because there was no Destiny 3. A lot of people I've seen this Payback project, which was this is based on Jason Schreier talking to people within Bungie. It would pivot from a first person to a third person perspective and allow players to use the franchise's characters to explore a larger world while cooperating to battle monsters and solve puzzles. The pitch took elements from popular games such as Warframe and Genshin Impact. So this was this Payback project that is canceled, but a lot of people have been saying, well, that was Destiny 3. Well, no, it was something in the Destiny universe, and now it's nothing. So it's a moot point, but so no, Destiny 3 was not in the works. Destiny 3 has not been canceled. It was another, one of their incubation projects they were working on. Because again, at the end of the day, Bungie makes money from one game. Bungie makes money from Destiny 2. That's the only thing out there that they're selling. They hope to make money from Marathon one day in 2025, optimistically. But but they spun up a number of other projects to try to find this sci-fi project thing that's now going to Sony. They have one thing where they make their money. So I mean, I applaud them for trying to diversify, but looks like they tried to diversify too much too quickly.
Exactly, and it does come down to kind of the upper management. So people are right to say, Pete Parsons should be held accountable, and there's nothing telling us at this point that he is being held accountable. But I can tell you from my experience that the high ups from Sony are looking at scapegoats, and they will at any point decide to remove him or just say, right, at the end of your contract, goodbye, thank you very much for your time, and give him his parachute out of there. Any time that he kind of gets pushed out the door or he leaves at the end of the contract, he's still going to get his golden parachute, whatever, from being with the company for, I think it was like 22 years when I was looking it up. And the other thing that's interesting is that I know we're down to like 850 people at Bungie now, and the majority of them probably are focused on Marathon. But when they were focused on just building Destiny, I believe it was between 500 to 600 people that were focused on building Destiny, The Dark Below, and the House of Wolves. And you look at what we've got today, and you've got Destiny 2, and you've got kind of all the expansions, and we're moving forward with our episodes and echoes. And then beyond that, we've got other stuff that's coming. But there's nothing to say that there are a team of like 200 people working on Destiny, and then the rest of them are working on Marathon. We don't know that. We know nothing at this point in time. And it's just one of those things that I know we said it when it first happened in October, and there was, I think our podcast at that point was like about 3 hours long, where kind of I compared it to working in like the retail business or kind of in any other kind of business in across the world, is that, these things happen. And unfortunately, because we love the game so much, we're kind of so invested with like the people and the constant kind of the game, and this kind of affects everybody that's kind of involved, whether it's kind of you're working there, which we really, really do feel sorry for you if you're still working there, because it must be so bad for people to kind of have to be the chosen ones to stay, but then also kind of be guilty at the fact that they are there staying, and these other people
like
that
survival's guilt, but for a corporation kind of thing.
Yeah, and it's kind of these people 100%. That are being let go. It's like you feel sorry for them, and they feel sorry, and these people out there are now having to look for other jobs. It's that's why there's going to be no communication, I don't think, for kind of a good week or so. I think next week we might get some communication about what's happening with Solstice, and they did say last week there was kind of the sandbox update. I don't know if that was kind of already in the works from this week, and it'll be kind of a big bumper thing of this is what's happening in Destiny, and that's it. We probably still won't hear anything about
hold on for a second.
After Bungie going forward.
Like we listen.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are going to say, well, hindsight is 2020, but I've been saying this for years, right? if funding was a problem for your company, some of the money, instead of investing in all these other side projects, they should have invested in some servers that would allow us as players to purchase things that we really want. Like, I don't know, inventory space, just as an example, right? There's a lot of stuff they could have done. And I know we don't like microtransactions. I get that, right? But I've always said, if the company, like, I'll support the company if the game is good, right? And if Bungie needed the money and they were willing to invest in servers big enough so that we could expand our storage to whatever we wanted it to be by using silver, right? I would absolutely support that. And I would almost guarantee that just the storage aspect alone could have probably kept them afloat, if not exceeding,
Yes.
But you're like deleting things.
You are thinking of it from a player's perspective. You're not thinking of it from a CEO's perspective. The CEOs are going, we could build this, and this. We've opened a new studio over here. We're going to open up one in Amsterdam.
The CEO's job is to make money for their shareholders and or investors.
Exactly. So if they're selling,
if you're spreading yourself too thin, you're not making money for anybody. You're spending money in hopes that one day it will make a return on investment.
They're not being honest with everybody. They are hoping that the Bungie magic, as they kind of put it, would then kind of be touched in all these other areas, and their business would be like tenfold. It would be amazing.
But it's like the creepy uncle kind of touch. You don't want that touch.
But the thing is, before Destiny 2, everything kind of Bungie touched turned to gold, and I think that's what they were kind of going off, and that was the dream that they sold to Sony. That was the dream that they sold to their own developers. That's what they sold to their investors, and that's why they were kind of, let's build a studio over here, let's do this over here, let's do this game, let's spin off that. And then when they realized that, hey, things are going to go wrong, and now we're going to have to partner with Sony because we've made a bit of an error. And then Sony were like, well, you need to rein it in, you need to do this, this, and this. And they weren't able to kind of do that because it was on such a spiraling.
Do we know that, or are you assuming? How much of this could be Sony's fault? How much is this saying Sony?
From everything I've seen reported, and again, this is from Jason Schreier and Tassie, and basically the four journalists. We'll link their posts and podcasts in the show notes. But from everything I've seen reported coming from Bungie, Sony, basically the option for Bungie not going with Sony was insolvency, was to go out of business, and in which. From everybody that sort of had talked to the journalists going, Bungie has sort of gone independent and then had to, gone unindependent, sell themselves to somebody because they needed the money, because they could not exist as a studio, which again points to failures of leadership.
You can't independent indie company that don't need no sponsors. Oh wait, no, I do. I
remember when we were so excited when they kind of moved away from working with Activision, and they were the biggest indie company out there, and they were like, we're going to do this, and this, and we're going to be focused on this. We might build a new game, but then at some point it just all went wrong. And when I was listening to the Last Word podcast this week, I think Travis kind of hit the nail on the head, that he said a couple of years ago that it was like when they started making the moves to kind of cut down on the PvP area, and they started doing this and they started doing that. It was that at that point that they started going down the wrong path, and it was too long before they realized that they kind of had to go back and do something else, or kind of work on the game that is the only game that was making the money. That it was too late at that point. And he said it may be too late at this point. Now, this is just speculation from IGN's Travis, that at this point in time, what he can see is that the best step forward is for them to focus 100% on Marathon, because Marathon will save the studio. If they get Marathon right, they have a chance to then course correct with Destiny. Because if they start doing little bits here and there with Destiny and they don't hit it with Marathon, it's going to be all over for Bungie as we kind of know it, as the whatever it is at this point in time, with this kind of independent-ish studio with Sony. If they get it wrong,
in the beginning, remember how like when Sony bought, we're all like, "Oh my god, I hope Sony doesn't interfere," because they have a history of interfering. They come in, they like assimilate, they take over, And
Okay.
then it's Sony's thing.
From all of the stuff that you've kind of heard, what have you heard that Sony have done?
But like that's what we were saying in the beginning, and somebody in the chat's like, well, maybe Sony should have taken more, because in the beginning we didn't want Sony to interfere, but now we're thinking.
Well, no, that I think when Sony did take over, I think at that point we said, should Sony be more directly involved with it? And then when they had the layoffs, we were like, should Sony be involved a bit more, because it looks like it's going.
When they had the layoffs, I'm pretty sure that we thought Sony was the reason they had the layoffs. Like Sony forced them.
Because they'd overprojected by 45%.
Way back then.
Yeah.
That's that was then. We're saying and that was post Lightfall, pre Final Shape. And then Final Shape gets delayed. And then Marathon was supposed to be out by now. Marathon got delayed into 2025. I mean, that's all. Yeah. And again, as I saw, but I've been seeing a lot of people, talking about this. And I'm sure if you worked in places that have had layoffs, I saw in Andy Lunique on Twitter, basically who's a chef, but just saying, in my many years in kitchens, I don't remember a single time we fired the staff to ensure profitability. We changed the menu, we worked on dropping food costs, changed vendors, utilized more ingredients, ran specials, held events, even let kids eat free. We didn't fire the people that made the place work.
Yeah.
And I mean, and just looking at this going, you don't fire people to expect a better outcome. And like the Mano Destro on Twitter basically saying the same thing. Remember that magic that was referred to in the path forward, created by game studios, is done because of the hardworking devs, not some weird delusions from the C-suite. There's no magic. There's no magic making these games and producing this content. It's the hardworking developers building and testing and building and testing and supporting this creation that you put out into the world. There's no magic involved here.
That's with
whether it's Bungie or BioWare or Arcade. Exactly. Yeah. But laying a bunch of people off is not going to make things better.
Like one of the phone company partners that we work with a lot, they forced a bunch of their senior guys into retirement that really knew the systems, right? Like when I saw this company like on my schedule, I'm like, yeah, right? Because I knew that they would know what's going on. But they forced all these guys into retirement and then hired people that had no idea what they're doing. And the last 4 years since they've done this, it's been a struggle for that company to continue to support these people. Now, like some of the PSAPs that used to be with this company are now going to competitors,
Right.
It's like with that, you saying that who was going to tell Pete Parsons, who is still on and was, even with the merger with Sony, in charge of Bungie? Not even
as a CEO. No, he failed as a CEO for sure.
But at that point, Sony weren't controlling Bungie, and we still don't know if they are in control or they're slowly taking control because nothing's been said. But nobody's going to force out the CEO of their own company.
Have you not seen Spider-Man? Green Goblin Spider-Man, the first one, yeah. They absolutely forced out the CEO for the other weapons company.
Yeah, you're talking about film there, but it's.
But I mean, if you want to keep the company alive, so here in America, and I don't know if it's global or not, there's a law where if you're a publicly traded company, you have to make money for the shareholders. You have to. It is a law. Like Disney's facing a bunch of backlash right now because they've been losing shareholder money.
Is it a law that you have to make money for your shareholders?
Yes. No, your shareholders can absolutely sue you if you're not making the money. Right. It's happening to Disney right now.
What part of selling to Sony and making $3.4 billion, wasn't it, in the acquisition, is not going to make your shareholders a lot of money?
If you're not reinvesting in the game, that's going to make them more money.
Yeah, that's now.
Right now, like they spread themselves too thin, right? You need to have shareholders. This is going to work though.
The shareholders still got paid and have probably still got paid, which is why they can't afford to pay the staff.
Yes, but here's the thing: when your game fails, how do you pay your investors?
But it hasn't failed
yet.
Screw the investors. I don't want my investors getting paid. I'm looking. One of the other hits from the staff that got laid off is people.
That's it.
Is people who were.
That's what it's called. Yes.
It's people who were, who got like Sony stock as part of the acquisition from Sony. If that stock has invested, you're also losing that part of basically your money that you're just never going to see. If that stock hadn't invested, you basically hadn't been with the company long enough per your agreement when Sony bought them, you lose that money on top of everything else.
Yeah.
So, whatever you were getting from, the Sony stock and being able to benefit from at least Sony making money off of the company after they get rid of you, you've now lost that as well.
Yeah.
On a side tangent, you know how the Red Death now has the catalyst where it says, when the weapon is charged, the next final blow creates a healing burst. Is there a bar somewhere that shows me how much of a charge I have on the gun to know when I get that burst?
No idea.
Just keep firing.
Well, no, it's happening. It's happening like every other shot, but I'm just like what's causing it? Like, how do I know? Because I want to plan around it. Like, if I know my next shot's going to heal, do I want to get next to teammates and do it or whatever?
You always want healing. Just keep shooting.
Okay.
But anyway. I think that's realistically, we can only tell you what Bungie have told you so far. We could join in the speculation. We could, and make it even worse. But at the end of the day, people have or are losing their jobs due to various different reasons that Bungie are not officially telling us. And, they still have over 150 team members building Destiny and Marathon, and they'll continue to build amazing experiences that exceed our players' expectations. There will be time to talk about our goals and projects, but today is not that day. Today is our focusing on supporting our people, and that is from Pete. So
I don't think Pete knows. I think he's stalling for time.
I think Pete will probably know, and we will probably know in the next couple of weeks what is actually happening with the game and things. But for now, the game is staying as it is. The vision for the episodes and the acts are still going ahead. We definitely know that we've got the next kind of year of content, whether it's going to be amazing content. Hopefully it is, cross our fingers. It's, with each episode, they get better and better and better. And then going forward with Destiny, we will hopefully have a good game to kind of continue to play, regardless of what they do, as long as they kind of put some focus on Destiny. Just just thinking back to what we've talked about in the past. Bungie works 2 to 3 seasons ahead. So if they're working on the next year of the game, that game is built. That game is in testing. Yeah. That game is they're putting the finishing touches on what we're going to see. 2 episodes from now. A lot of, just like with the last go around, a lot of the impact of this we're going to see is not in sort of what's already been promised to us. It's what's beyond that. And there have been a bunch of different things said about the future of the game and this and that. It's going to have this or not have that, which I don't want to get into because it's just it's the understanding of August 3rd, 2024. And we still have, the year of game left, or how many months of that we have still to come. We still have 2 episodes left. There's a lot that's going to happen and shift between now and then. So we can say, oh, we're not going to have this, or we're going to have this, or this is what the game's going to look like a year from now. It's too early to say any of that. And none of it has officially come from Bungie.
Right. It's just we're speculating on top of other speculation.
Because we need news. We need those ratings. We need to say something so that people pays attention to our news, so that blah, 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 blah. Everybody wants to be the first, even when nobody knows what's happening.
Well, that's why we're the last. This is why we record on a Saturday, because we like to see the whole picture and get to the Saturday and go, you know what? This is the TWAB. Yes, it was a couple of days ago, but there are other things that have come out after the TWAB that we can also tell you about, which is why we like doing it a little bit later.
We're not here to be first. We're not here to be, oh my God, did you hear this? Late breaking. Oh my God.
We're not here to be anything. We're not the first. We're not the accurate. We're not the smartest. We're not the...
I think we're accurate and smart. We strive for accuracy as much as anyone else. I mean, we strive for accuracy. Are we always? Not necessarily. We do the best with the information we have. And right now we're all dealing with third-party information at best. So, but what has been really cool over the last couple of days is seeing the number of people posting about their contributions to the game. Like I guess, it's sort of, internally, and I assume this is sort of like an industry thing, there's people sort of discouraged from saying like, well, this was all me. This was my thing to build. Because at the end of the day, they were all part of teams, or they led the team to do this. So but the number of people I've seen like, hey, it was sort of, I oversaw, the training of Vicarious Visions, flew out to New York on the East Coast, wherever they were, Albany or something, and, trained Vicarious Visions on our tools and wrote this whole, training suite to onboard new developers and to onboard this company back when Vicarious Visions was working with them in Activision. Or, hey, I beat our stupid, engine into making the Infinite Forest work, which was absolutely not a thing the engine was ever built to do, to make this procedurally generated thing. Like, I figured out a way to make this happen.
No, they should brag about that, 100%.
Well, yeah. It's just been neat to see again. Supporting the people doing this incredible work. Like, it's been cool to be like, here's the things that I personally, personally, either individually as part of the team, built towards these things. So it's been really cool just to see, oh, you're who I have to thank from this. This is where this came from. Seeing some of those, those little glimpses behind the curtain that you're never normally going to see, because it's all it's their day job. It's them developing a game, and you're like, yeah, I know this was built, and I have a vague understanding of how development works in games, but it's neat to be like, yeah, here's the thing we overcame, and here's the thing we had to work around to do this. So super fun.
That's not the word I would use. It does start with an F, though.
Well, no. I mean, it's fun to see the cool contributions of people.
Okay.
Yeah, no. I'm not happy that they're laid off. I'm not happy that this is why. But it's just, like DMG has been saying, supporting the people who are doing this amazing work, and hopefully finding other places to do more amazing work. Because again, at the end of the day, this is not the fault of anybody who's lost their job. They're a victim of circumstance. It's, if you've ever been through a layoff on either side of that, it's a terrible experience knowing there's nothing you could have done to have prevented this. In some cases, it's, hey, you're the last person we hired on this contract, or you have the least seniority here, so we're going to show you the door, speaking from experience. Hey, you're the last guy hired, first guy out the door.
Stuff they could have done. They spread themselves thin. They could have not done that and then been okay. It's not like people stopped buying their product. Their product was still very much being bought. They weren't reinvesting into the company the way they should have, in the places they should have.
Well. I mean, to be fair, is they weren't reinvesting into the company because, again, they're a one-trick pony. They have one product, and they live and die on the health and popularity of that one product. They were trying to expand the company beyond that, which is good for a company. You want to diversify, but it didn't work out for any and all number of reasons. And at the end of the day, I mean, I'm no Pete Parsons apologist, but at the end of the day, you're also trying to do this through a global pandemic that nobody has run a company through in 100 years since the last pandemic. Like you're in a place, in a space. You're trying to take your entire company that worked in a building and figure out how to do that distributively throughout the country. Like there's so much that went behind that. I mean, seeing that in the business where I am now, and seeing that, talking to other friends who have been, been in these same situations at work, and we are not 1,300 people companies, making a 24/7 available online video game, like trying to do all of this and making those bets and making those decisions. I mean, in hindsight, can we say, here's where you went wrong? Absolutely. In the moment, were those signs as clear? There's no way to know that, but unless you're inside of Bungie. Again, I'm not saying, hey, he did a great job, did the best he could. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. Yeah. It didn't work out great, and this is the result, which blows. Which is, I mean, unfortunately not a rarity in the tech industry or video game industry, looking at the world.
The thing is, I think that they, upper management, knew that they had to get rid of this amount of people way back when. And the only way that they could kind of get the final shape done and out the door was keep these people on for the set amount of time that they had to get it out the door, which was the extra couple of months, wasn't it? So I think even back as far as October, they knew they had to reduce their work size by 50%. I think it works out in total. But they just couldn't do it. So they had to kind of justify to keep those people on, but didn't tell those people that they had to keep them on. They let the ones that they could let go at that point go, to keep the ones that they needed to get the game out the door before they then said, right, I'm really sorry, we can't afford to keep you even now. Even though the game has done phenomenally with kind of reviews, it's just something we can't do. And that's me personally looking at it from kind of this outside perspective of, I think you knew that the writing was on the wall when it kind of all came down September, October last year. I think they had to have a plan of kind of getting the final shape out the door and whatever's to come after that. And they had to keep a certain amount of people on to do that and get it done and finished to the high standards it was. It was amazing. But they knew at that point that they couldn't keep them on. And that's my view anyway.
Yeah. Those financial reports were in their hands. They knew what was coming. And from what I've gathered through reading, I mean, yeah, it was an eventuality of this is what's going to happen. Made bad bets, and now those chickens have come home to roost.
But we still have a game to play. We still have a game to talk about, and there's going to be some stuff to talk about next week, hopefully with Solstice. Now, I've heard a lot of people say that Solstice is coming next week, but on my calendar that I wrote when Solstice, what they said that it was going to be, was the week after. I may have may have written it down wrong, so I do apologise. But
Peroty, I told you wrong. It's not the first time.
Peroty, can you just confirm? Can you type away really quickly while I kind of distract people while I'm talking about Solstice and say how fun it is and things that's going to happen? Like, we're going to go back to the EAZ, which is the European Aerial Zone, and we're going to do fighting in the European Aerial Zone. I don't know if we're going to have our sparrows around. I don't know if we're going to be jumping from building to building or if it's just going to be the set areas. And if you've never played Solstice before, you think, what is he wittering on about? There's bonfires. There's also bonfires that we have to bash and throw things at. And then we get a chest that just kind of overflows. And something I did hear on like the grapevine was, don't forget that the Solstice armor kind of breaks the kind of mold for crafting. With the Solstice armor, there was a way to focus your Solstice armor from like last season to say that you want a high stat in one area. But also, you could also put your Ghost mod on to say that you want a high stat in another area. So it would give you the two different stats in the two different areas to give you really high statted armor that isn't kind of artifice armor, but it is a good way of getting really high stat armor. And hopefully we get that again, that you can craft your armor and you can put, it was like little bits of kind of bonfire bits and things, and we'll cover it next week when Bungie tell us, or if it drops on Tuesday, it drops on Tuesday, and I haven't told you anything about it. But Peroty,
It'll be a surprise
for all of us.
Mm-hmm.
Did you manage to find out if it's coming next week, or did Bungie say it was the week after?
There's simply no way to know, because and I say that because even if it was coming, there's no way to know if it's if that is indeed staying the same.
Well, no, they said everything's still staying the same.
They did. That's what they told us. Allegedly. Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, okay. So yeah, if Solstice drops on the 6th, it drops on the 6th, and I haven't told you about it in This Week in Destiny, so I better tell you what else is happening next week in Destiny that I know about, sort of. This is your weekly rundown of the final shape, week 10, starting on August 6th. This week we'll see the return of Destiny 2 summer event Solstice, running from August 6th to August 26th, 2024. As we wait for Act 3 of Episodes Echoes, the final instalment coming on August 27th, we still have a multitude of activities to play. From Act 2, we have the 3 new Battleground activities, Delve, Conduit, and Core. These join Enigma Protocol and Breach Executable in the Helm from Act 1. In the Pale Heart, the exotic mission Dual Destiny is available for teams of 2 Guardians. You can grab a friend or use the in-game Fireteam Finder to find a buddy, and farm the mission to earn as many new prismatic exotic class items as you like. This mission does require some communication and cooperation mechanics to complete. The Final Shape's cooperative focus campaign mission this week will be Ascent. The 12 Guardian Match-Made Excision mission is also available next to the raid for a weekly pinnacle, and the Grandmaster version of Excision will grant you the Ergo Sum Catalyst and an Ascendant Shard. The featured Onslaught map this week will be Midtown, with the Fieldraiser Tormentor kicking off the boss rotation. For our Legacy rotation, the Dreaming City this week is at a strong curse level, which means Petrovenge can be found in Rio Silvia and has the Dark Monastery mission for the next week. The Blind Well features Taken enemies and the Plague Einamina. The Ascendant Challenge will be the Keep of Honed Edges over in the Harbinger Seclude. On the moon, the weekly story mission is in the deep. The Trove Guardian is located in the Hellmouth, while the Wandering Nightmare is the Nightmare of Hawkis in the Anchor of Light. Nightmare hunts Skolus, Pride, Fanatic, Insanity, and Omnigul Anguish. The Altars of Sorrow will start this week's rotation with the Nightmare of Fogoth boss and the Blasphemer Shotgun. On Europa this week, Praxis the Technocrat will be the Empire Hunt, Cadmus Ridge will be the Eclipse Zone, and the Exo Challenge will be Safeguard. Days of Eternity Expert difficulty rounds are Hive, Vex, and Veluster R. The Scatterhorn armor set and the Pathfinder armor set will be available in Days of Eternity with Weapon Set 4. Fractithis, Chrysera Milo, Volpicula, Wolftone Draw, Iotona Draconis, Canis Major, Contingency Plan, Legal Action 2, Outrageous Fortune, Steel Syllabus C14, and Spoiler Alert. The Witch Queen Weekly Story Mission is the Communion, Altar of Reflections Catalyst, and Altar of Reflections Insight. The Lightfall Weekly Mission is First Contact, the Partition Mission will be Hard Reset, and the Vex Incursion will be Liming Harbour. The Master Salvation Judge Raid Challenge this week is the first encounter, Substranum, called Scenic Route. The Kurota's End Raid Challenge this week should be the third encounter, Iryu, the Death Singer, called Equal Vessels. The Root of Nightmares Raid Challenge this week is the fourth encounter, Nezarek, called All Hands. The Kingsfall Raid Challenge this week is the fourth encounter, Daughters of Oryx, called Under Construction. The Vow the Disciple Challenge this week is the first encounter, Acquisition, called Swift Destruction. The Vault of Glass Challenge this week is the fifth encounter, Atheon, called Ensembler's Refrain. The Deepstone Crypt Challenge this week is the third encounter, Tanix Part 1, called Of All Trades. And the Last Wish Challenge this week is the fourth encounter, Vault, called Keep Out. Your Pinnacle Raid will be the Garden of Salvation over on the Moon, with all challenges available for each encounter, with the Exotic Trace Rifle Divinity being acquired via completing the raid puzzle. The Pinnacle Dungeon will be the Pit of Heresy also on the Moon, and the Exotic Mission Rotator will be Presage, with the Dead Man's Tale Exotic Scout Rifle being the main reward. The Season of the Haunted, and Opulent Weapon sets, plus the Eidolian Pursuant armor set. The Exotic Missions, The Whisper and Zero Hour will also be available in the Legends tab. This week's challenges are Finely Tuned, Fleeting Glory, Mid-Range Calibration, and Cosmodrome Activities. Lost Sectors, Tuesday the Broken Deep in the Pale Heart, Wednesday the Blooming Deep in the Pale Heart, Thursday Forgotten Deep in the Pale Heart, Friday Perdition on Europa, Saturday Bunker E15 on Europa, Sunday Concealed Void on Europa, and Monday the Conflux on Nessus. Our 10th featured Nightfall will either see us face off against Ulnath, Light Cleanser in the Sart's Battlegrounds Cosmodrome, or Saber 2 in the Fallen Saber over on the Cosmodrome, with the Priastian Axe 4 bow being the featured adept weapon. The 6v6 control playlist will be Control, Rift in the Party Relentless playlist, Showdown in the 3v3 playlist, Havoc Hardware in Crucible Labs, and Trials of Osiris at the weekend, with bonus Gambit ranks available all week long. And that's it for the 10th week of the Final Shape.
Yeah, that's the last thing they told us. June 6th, they said it'll drop the week of August 6th, Solstice begins. So, presumably, it's coming this week?
Oh, there you go.
Maybe, hopefully, possibly.
So yeah, thank you for listening to our Wittering this week, and thank you for commenting over on YouTube if you commented on YouTube, because we had a couple of comments that showed up for a couple of seconds. I clicked on them, and then couldn't read them, and then couldn't get into them, and then they've disappeared. So I don't know if you deleted them, or if it's done a thing of just saying, you're not allowed to comment. But Turnip VR did ask, do you all play other games besides Destiny? Not at this point in time. Well, Respawn does, but I don't. And Peroty might play a bit of Farming Simulator and things like that. Apart from that, he dabbles.
I dabble, but at the end of the day, Destiny is my comfort game. It's my go-to game. It's what I turn on and go guild my Gambit title again and say, all right, I've gotten that done. Now it makes me happy. Add that to the collection. Respawn plays all the games.
Yeah, I do. I play many games. This week's flavor is something I'm not going to say because he's going to blot it out anyway.
No, you can say it. Go on, say it.
I've been playing a lot of that recently.
So we didn't hear what you said.
Still
don't understand what you're saying. No, I know what you're saying.
I knew you were going to do that.
Right
bless
into
you.
That right into the face.
I sure did.
Yeah.
Tried to have faith. Was not given faith.
No.
That'll teach you. Did either of you guys happen to see that Activision dropped a study they had done on the role of skill-based matchmaking?
What do you mean the role of skill-based matchmaking? Like in society?
No, in this case, they were looking at the Call of Duty matchmaking process, and basically did a study on skill-based matchmaking versus connection-based or other things, and actually put we have these ongoing debates forever on which is better, what should you do, da 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 da. Well, Activision has like dropped this, I think, 30-page PDF, matchmaking series, The Role of Skill in Matchmaking. And basically they did this, it basically wrote this white paper exploring the impact and prioritization of ping and matchmaking. In this document, they'll discuss the topic of skill in core multiplayer matchmaking implementation, how we've observed the positive results from the fine-tuning of the skill in matchmaking used by Call of Duty. Now, obviously, this is not Destiny, so you may never hear any of this because I'm speaking blasphemy.
Yes,
but I think it's interesting, for all of the speculation and all of the, this is better, oh that's better. Activision's like, what if we just study it? What if we just write a little paper on this? And Cammy Cakes had put out a video sort of, tail into last week about, his thoughts on the last TWID because it talked about a bunch of the matchmaking changes and the skill-based matchmaking Activision study. So this is from the 29th of July when he put this out. But I just thought it was interesting. I haven't gotten through the whole thing yet, but I just think it was interesting that, we have these ongoing discussions on skill-based, connection-based, skill-based, connection-based, and Activision's like, what if we just drop a study? We looked at it in the context of Call of Duty, but I think at the end of the day, a lot of their findings and a lot of what they're saying is going to be more or less the similar through other PvP games. Like yes, obviously Destiny is not Call of Duty and vice versa, but there's just still a lot. There's a lot there. There's a lot different, or rather, there's a lot there and a lot the same about you're trying to get people of different skill and different connection together to play each other, and how do you sort of balance that and make that a good experience for them? So just wanted to highlight that was out there floating around in the world.
Fair enough.
Did they come to a conclusion that's worth reading?
Probably. You'll have to watch the video to find out.
But you said it's a PDF. Video about watching it on a PDF.
There's a Cammy Cakes video as well as a PDF.
Oh.
For those of you who enjoy to get your Destiny content while, say, doing the dishes or mowing the lawn. We got words and pretty pictures.
Is that the end of the show this week?
I believe so. You got any more tips, tricks, builds, or anything like that we didn't cover in the beginning?
Nope, because it's all Destiny Doom and Gloom this week. So yeah, but it's not Doom and Gloom. It's going to be amazing.
It just is. That's all it is.
It's a transition.
It just is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'll add to the Doom and Gloom. Well, not add to, but I'll replace the Doom and Gloom by if you haven't tried the Starfire protocol yet, watch this video, which also synergizes nicely with Respawn's fancy new Red Death Reformed catalyst of just getting lots of healing going with the Ember of Benevolence. Lots of healing, lots of fire, and lots of Warlock raining death down upon people. And if you want to say, I don't know, punch some things, make them explode, every Titan should try this. Severance Enclosure on Strand, finally possible. That's from Maven.
What's Severance Enclosure?
Severance Enclosure is you punch things and everything goes boom. So, punchy, boom, boom.
Thing? The Void Bomb thing? Is that what that is?
No, because you're on Strand.
Okay, whatever.
Explode.
Right. I'll look it up.
So yeah, those are two of the builds I just wanted to slide into the show notes because, yeah. And then TDT asked if Arc was the worst Destiny 2 subclass, which, I mean, like, yeah, kind of. Like, there's, as much as I love jolting people, it's kind of all there is. There's not a lot.
PvP or PvE?
I think E, but I think it's just not, with your other options, you've got better options.
I would say that's true until I came across the Arc build that gives me like plus 90 damage resistance or whatever. Until I came across that, I would agree. But since I've been playing this build, I don't know. I don't have any healing on it, but a lot of the times I don't really need it? ? I don't know. It's hard to say, but yeah. I don't think it's that bad. I really don't. I think Void is actually probably on the lower tier. I haven't seen anybody running Void Hunters at all in any in-game activities this season. Yeah, now that I'm thinking about it, yeah. Now you have Prismatic. People use Tether for Prismatic because there's a lot of stuff you can do with that, but no, like, super Void-based builds. Anyway, who said that, TDT?
Yeah.
I'll go watch those videos.
Those are his thoughts. And my thoughts are we really appreciate our lovely patrons like Zep Orbit and K4, who can't be threatened with a good time. Our outer dance troupe of the T-Rex King, Scarlet Cam, Melameli, Deditato M64, and Renard Calant. Our lovely grenade throwers, Carter 2782, Golden God 1562, Noble, basically Salt, Fire Squad 1688, and Coachson 105. And our Deacon's Day 1 raid team of Dimwee, Gravy Jeff, and PP Pipe. We appreciate each and every one of you. And Night Demon is appreciating that I get to say, thank you for joining us. Your Titans are Peroty and Nitedemon. Your hunters don't respond in real life. We are everywhere on the internet you want to find us. You can email the show, twotitansandahunter@hotmail.com. Go to YouTube, check out the videos, check out what's upcoming this week. Check out, all the things and leave comments and then delete the comments to make Nitedemon a little more crazy trying to find them. You can find this show wherever you get your podcasts. And, twotitansandahunter.com for all your show notes and all the things we talk about and link to this week. And if you want to join our Otter Dance troop, threaten us with a good time, toss more grenades at us, patreon.com/TTAH. If you're looking for more casual encounter, coffee.com/twotitansandahunter. And if you want to see the live version of the show and give Respawn just a little bit of grief while he's half awake in the morning, twitch.tv/no-one-respawn to real life.
Don't do
and
that.
if you want to head over to twitch.tv/twotitansandahunter, you can hit the bell in both those locations and go, when do they go live? Well, we go live when we go live, and then you'll know. And then you can watch and laugh right along with us. So until next week, gents, we'll see what happens. And tell the good people goodbye.
Goodbye.
Deuces!
Two Titans and a Hunter, a Destiny 2 podcast.
Gooses? That's a new one.
Gooses.
No, you said gooses.
With a D.
Nah.
Like Delta.
Untitled Gooses?
There was lots of geese involved.
You're a geese.
You're
There's
a goose.
gonna be lots of geese involved
Canadian
with you
gooses.
reading that stuff verbatim earlier.
No, I'm going to leave that in. I'm going to be
No, you're
daring.
not.
No, I'm not.
No, you're not.
He's like, why? Edit.
It's
Who wants
like,
to edit? We're just going to release it
what?
as is.
Yeah.
Edit, schmedit.